My name is Brady Hahn. I turned 20 years old just 2 days ago, and 1 decade from now, I will be a majority owner of a football club competing in a UEFA competition. In this video, I will walk you through how exactly I plan on making this insane dream a reality in just 10 years, explain why I even want to do this, and finally tell you about the first club that I am actually already involved in and own some shares of. Starting off with a rough outline of what the next few years might look like for me, I'm currently in college to get a degree in electrical engineering with a computer science minor. I won't graduate with any student loans or debt, but I won't be able to make much money over the next 2.5 years since I have a heavy workload with my major, and I'm also a student athlete as I am on the tennis team for my university. Obviously, once I have my degree and a job, I will likely be making a lot more money, but early revenue is crucial for this project. We need compound interest on our side. For reference of what it looks like to be a majority owner in a competitive club in Europe, there's currently a second-tier club in Portugal asking for 25 million USD, a third-tier Italian club asking for 14 million USD, and even a sixth-tier club in England asking for over 4 million USD for a majority ownership stake or the whole team. Looking at the present and over the next few years, how I can make money before I have my degree, there are a lot of options, starting with common side hustles like DoorDash that I can do on my own time for even as short as half an hour or an hour in a day. I do get some decent money from there, but obviously I'm not buying a soccer club with DoorDash tips. I also buy and sell both Pokemon and sports cards and have a separate YouTube channel with nearly 7,000 subscribers. This area definitely has a much higher ceiling than DoorDash since content creation on its own can generate a ton of money. And of course, if the channel blows up, then the card business should go with it. But while this channel has seen consistent growth, I'm still around breaking even since what I gain from the sports cards and Pokemon cards buying and selling then kind of gets lost in the channel since I'm not making much money there. While the main goal of this channel is just to hold myself accountable to this goal, it would be absolutely amazing if I could help fund the goal with revenue off of this channel, but that is still a very long way to go as this is the first video I am making. A slightly more long-term, high-risk, high-reward option would be to create my own coding project, whether that be a website or a game. Obviously, I am getting a computer science minor and know a decent bit, but this would be very difficult and take a long time without me making money before I could possibly see dividends from this. Last of all, of course, there's the option of me getting a job. I'm a college tennis player and I have been teaching tennis all through high school, so this is an option for me. I have a number of ways that I could go and teach tennis. I could do it on my own, do it as a local club, and make a decent bit of money with just a high school diploma. Before I tell you guys about the European club that I already own over 1,000 shares in, I want to share some of what is driving me to start this series. I mean, I grew up in a house where sports was the only thing we watched on TV, never movies, never TV shows, and it was just a huge part of my childhood. I've seen firsthand how sports can bring people together, and it's always just so much fun. It's just a great environment to be in. And as a kid, I always dreamed of, the big stages, the bright lights, and I just turned 20 2 days ago and realized most people, my age at least, are totally done dreaming. People are off at college, preparing to start decades of 9-to-5 jobs, and while that's likely what's in store for me, I just want to feel how it felt to have those big dreams again, really be pushing towards something. And now that I am 20, I am much more capable of making those dreams into a reality. The goal of this channel is, again, hold me accountable, but I also really want to make a community of people wanting to do big things, wanting to keep dreaming of bigger things. And this whole project could totally go up in flames. And if it does, so be it. At least I'll be able to say something that most people my age are already done saying, I tried. As I have already mentioned, I am already invested in a European club. At $2 a share, I own 1,250 shares of the Carrick Rangers, team in the Northern Irish Premier League. The club has a total valuation of $30 million, so my $2,500 investment isn't exactly a majority stake, but in under 1 month, I may have an opportunity to double my investment, so make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss that. This initial investment is a very good learning experience, but I also believe it will be a financially beneficial investment. Starting with club performance, the Carrick Rangers have had a difficult season thus far. Numerous injuries have been piling up, and some late goals allowed have pushed us further and further down the table, possibly facing relegation. Of the 12 teams in the NIFL Premiership, the team in last automatically gets relegated down to the championship, and the team in second to last, so 11th place, plays a two-leg playoff with the team in second from the championship in order to see who stays in the premiership. Last season, just a few months after my initial investment, Carrick played that two-leg playoff after finishing 11th and crushed. Scores of 5-2 and 3-1, I believe, kept them in the Premiership, but more injuries have plagued the squad this year, and we have fallen back into 11th place. 2 days ago, on my birthday, they had a 2-2 draw against Crusaders in a match that would have been incredible to win. Crusaders currently sit in 10th, and so that would have been awesome. We would have jumped ahead of them had we gotten that win. But this match really felt similar to a lot of the matches over the last 2 months. They jumped out in the first minute. We had a chance to go off the crossbar. A number of chances dominated through the entire first half, but in the 25th minute, we let up our goal. We were down 1-0, but then came back 2-1 at halftime after 2 incredible crosses and finishes. But early in the second half, while it's usually later on, we let up the final goal of the match to drop from 3 points to just 1 point on the match, in a difficult result. There are a ton of positives from this match and our previous performances, but we need the results to follow soon, or else we're going to be again in danger of relegation. Shifting to a broader look at the league, the Northern Irish Football League is growing year after year, and recent Boxing Day fixtures broke multiple records for the league. Starting off with attendance across these 6 matches, they've had by far the greatest attendance in any single week set of fixtures. Over 21,000 people across the 6 matches, which may not seem like a lot, but for a very small country and with very small stadiums, they were all packed. Also, they set a record for 10 million views across all social media platforms for just that weekend, which again proves that they are definitely growing. And finally, they launched the NIFL TV program, which shows the investment being made in the league in all areas. The biggest goal of every Northern Irish team is to qualify for UEFA competitions. Now, if you don't know how UEFA coefficients work, I will give you a super simplified explanation. Basically, every year points are given to teams from each nation and the nation themselves for how those teams perform in UEFA competitions. So Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League. These points last for 5 years, and that 5-year total for the nation determines how many spots are given to the nation's teams for qualification into those tournaments. For example, England currently has the highest UEFA coefficient with 103.5 because they have had the best overall performance in these leagues over that span of 5 years. As a result, England is granted 4 Champions League main draw spots, 2 Europa League main draw spots, and a Conference League qualifying spot. Northern Ireland has a relatively low UEFA coefficient, meaning they receive 1 Champions League qualifying bid and 3 Conference League qualifying bids. The winner of the Premiership gets the Champions League qualifying bid, but that bid could drop them into Conference League depending on how they do in Champions League qualifying. So that could also double as being able to get into Conference League, since NIFL teams are very rarely able to get into Champions League. The final Conference League qualifying spot can go to a cup winner or any team in the league down to 7th place in a playoff. It really depends how the league shapes out. So getting up to 7th place is a huge bonus for the Carrick Rangers. And obviously, if they are able to win the Irish Cup later on this year on the 50th anniversary of a run they had, obviously 50 years ago, that would be incredible, and we could qualify for Europe. The reason why European qualification is so important is because of how much money gets brought in from these competitions. In 2024, Lauren FC, a team from the NIFL, won over $5.5 million USD just by qualifying for Conference League and getting 1 single win in the competition. They came 34th out of 36 teams, but again, brought in over $5.5 million USD. Obviously, I'm using USD just because I'm from the US, but that is about $4.8 million in Europe. So an incredible amount, and even losing in the first round of Conference League qualifying can get you nearly 400,000 USD. Here are some of the main goals for the Carrick Rangers this season. A top 7 finish, while we are pretty low on the table, still isn't out of the question. We are actually in the finals of the Antrim County Shield, which is a pretty large tournament, and we obviously have a chance to make a run in the Irish Cup, which would give us a direct Conference League qualifying bid if we were able to win. In addition to the men's first team, I am also invested in the Carrick Rangers club as a whole, which includes men's academy teams and 2 women's teams, which compete in the NIWFA. The women's first teams have been promoted every single year since their creation, and last year was no different. The women's first team won the Division 2 in NIWFA and was promoted up to Division 1, and the reserve team reached the 6th tier in Irish football, the NIWFA Division 4. The first team also had an incredible run in the LWS Super Cup, where they knocked out multiple teams from Division 1 and from the championship, so up to 2 divisions higher than them, and they reached the semifinal, an incredible run. While the women's team is still not quite at the level of the men's team, reaching the third tier was a big step, and they're going to be reaching for promotion once again this year. Obviously, the NIWFA is also receiving a ton of investment, and they're gaining sponsors every single year, so definitely growing there as well. This journey is not going to be easy, but since you made it to the end of the video, please drop a like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts on this challenge. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.